Let's talk about how we can get this proof verification blockchain up and running, given our nice long history of the Horizen community and the Zen coin that's been around since 2017. Rolf Versluis, co-founder of Horizen. We launched and got listed in 2017, so we're kind of an OG program. We've continuously developed and improved all along the years, partially due to our tokenomics and partially due to our partnership with Horizen Labs. This is going to be a whiteboard session where I'm going to fill and erase a number of whiteboards because this is complicated. And it's complicated because we have a number of different intentions that we want to accomplish, and we need to kind of thread the needle to be able to get that done. So let me go through what these intentions are. So first of all, there's a huge market opportunity for a dedicated proof verification blockchain that is modular and composable with the Web3 space that can provide zero-knowledge proof verifications. Established that in a previous discussion, and in a future discussion we'll talk about some of the specific use cases. This is just about how we can get this up and running in a good way. These are my recommendations. So because Horizen is a DAO right now, that means there needs to be people of the community that make recommendations for Zen improvement protocols, and then those need to be voted on. And I'll tell you specifically where that gets involved and what I'm recommending to do on the next slide. So first of all, here's our intentions. And so we're gonna I'm intending to work towards accomplishing these intentions. Sometimes we can't share all the details as we're going through the process. Sometimes a Zen IP is written with a broad enough scope saying, yep, the community wants this to happen, go make it happen. Sometimes you gotta figure out the details while you're making it happen. All right, so we want to have a zero-knowledge proof verification chain, and I'm just gonna change that to ZKPV so I don't have to write out ZK proof verification chain. We wanna have it in production, doing proof verifications in 2024 with a governance coin or token on it, and that governance coin and gas for doing the proof verifications listed on exchanges. So that would be, a great situation. Now we want to make sure this chain has tokenomics set up for success. Things change every year in crypto and blockchain and Web3. As projects learn how to work more closely with other projects, to work in compliance with the ever-evolving regulators, there have been ways to establish to be able to create new ecosystems, and an ecosystem includes a blockchain, a DAO, a foundation, and then a governance token. So to create a new ecosystem in a way that's fair and doesn't involve the new system being any kind of security, so that it's compliant within the regulations of Western governments, specifically USA. We have a lot of supporters in the USA, and so this is one of the things that we'd like to be able to do. So not only do we want to have no unlicensed securities so we can stay in compliance, we don't want to have any centralized control of a DAO. Technically, it's really easy to launch a token and form a DAO. Say, boom, I launched a token on Ethereum, we're a DAO. The problem is when you actually operate it and have it going, there's legal tests to make sure that there aren't unlicensed securities, and there's legal tests to make sure DAOs aren't managed and operated by one entity or one person. And so there's ways to do this, and the organization, or however it ends up happening, to be able to create this new type of proof verification network ecosystem, the intention is for, and my recommendation is for it to be done in a compliant way. So sorry I got to talk a little bit in circles here, but this is all part of the process. All right, we want to keep Zen holders involved with the new zero-knowledge proof verification chain. As Zen co-founder, I mined a bunch of Zen when it was GPU mining, an ASIC mining, and whenever the price goes down, I buy more. So I've got a bit of Zen. I would like to see Zen involved in this proof verification chain, and all the people that bought Zen and held onto it and supported us along the way, they probably want to see the same thing. We want to move rapidly and decisively. So there is a great market opportunity for a zero-knowledge proof verification network. People are using zero knowledge for all sorts of different things. It's basically a way to do a verified computation using cryptography and mathematical processes. And when we're doing things in a public blockchain, some of these things that we do involve verifying computations. Now, if a new token is created, and we'll talk about that further on down the line, we need to make sure it's distributed fairly and in keeping with the above intentions. Okay? Now, people that have been part of this project for a while, you've seen what some of the things that I've done contributing to the project and what other people have done, like my co-founder Rob Biglione, what he's done. And hopefully over time, you've built up an assessment of how we operate, how we try to tell you what's going on, how to make recommendations, and how we try to do things the right way, set up for the long term. This is a basic block diagram of the current Horizen and Horizen Eon setup, and the new one that we're recommending to do. Currently, Horizen is a UTXO, kind of like Bitcoin, proof of work coin. We started out having private payments. Those were stripped out earlier this year. Horizen Zen is not a privacy coin anymore. 14 of the 21 million Zen that are supposed to be sent out have been generated and sent out. 60% have been going to miners, 10% to secure node operators, 10% to super node operators, 20% to the Horizen DAO treasury. That's been our tokenomics so far. It's gotten us to where we're at. It's pretty good. Using that treasury, our developers developed the Zendu Bridge. This is a cross-chain transfer protocol. We had the idea to have a multitude of side chains working through the Zendu Bridge. Didn't hit the market window for that. We didn't develop the software fast enough. But what we did do was we developed our own Ethereum virtual machine. And so this is the way it's running now. And so the Zendu Bridge is very effective in working with Horizen Eon, the Ethereum Open Network Ethereum virtual machine. Zen is transferred between the Zendu Bridge. So the 14 million Zen that exist, some of them are here and some of them are here. This is a proof of stake network, and if you run a forger on Eon, you get paid in Zen. This is also the gas that's used, and this EVM is connected to the rest of Web3. There's a lot more transactions that happen on a daily basis on our Eon EVM than happen on our main chain. This is the system the way it is now. What I'd like to see is that we move to a completely different system. The zero-knowledge proof verification chain is not an Ethereum virtual machine. Its main function is to provide zero-knowledge proof verification services. This is the chain that needs new tokenomics. What is running in testnet right now at Horizen Labs is a substrate relay chain. Substrate is the open source blockchain building code that Polkadot and Kusama use. So we're taking an already built blockchain development system and adding modules to it. The modules, they're called pallets, would be doing specific proof verifications for different zero-knowledge circuits. We've already got a few of them running, and we have a whole list of ones that we're going to continue to add. It's proof of stake. I outlined that the token here is undefined, and we're going to talk about that in the next few diagrams. So Substrate has an XCM bridge that, if you call this a relay chain, this would be called a parachain. So there's a very rapid and low-cost bridge between the main chain and the side chain. And as you saw in the previous presentation, it's very helpful for the proof verification chain to connect to other chains through an EVM. So this EVM would connect to bridges that would be able to do things. It would also have smart contracts to be able to do more complicated things. And the security for this is provided from the relay chain, but there is a cost. So there needs to be some type of payment for the security. So all the validators here, they provide security for the chain. They also do the proof verification calculations, and they provide security for the parachains. There is kind of a proof of stake device called a collator here, and that just collates transactions that goes across the XCM bridge that's then provided security by the validators. And so there's a cost because the validators have to maintain the transaction for the sidechain as well. And the token here is undefined, and we're going to talk about the options on that as well. But this is the basic new system. And so what I would like to see happen is this proof verification ecosystem, I defined that a little earlier, get up and running as soon as possible, and then have this Ethereum virtual machine also up and running as soon as possible, and then figure out a way to bring the value from this chain to this chain, which would accomplish the intentions that I talked about previously. We considered 3 different options in the community, in the discussions, when I say we. And let me explain the first option that was discussed. The first option, if you'll notice, it is option 1 of 3. It is not what I'm recommending. That would include Zen as the token for the proof verification chain, and it would include Zen as the token for the EVM. There's advantages to this. The advantage is there's agreement. There would be one DAO that would operate the 2 chains. The DAO already exists. It's the Horizen DAO. There would be no contention between the 2 blockchains. This would be the all Horizen, all Zen option. Horizen DAO would build the ZKPV, zero knowledge proof verification. Horizen DAO already had a vote saying, yes, we want the zero knowledge proof verification chain built. The problem is there's no funding for that to be built. The treasury payments don't come anywhere close to paying for a chain to be built. Furthermore, in these days, in 2024, it's necessary to integrate with a whole bunch of other projects. We need incentivized test nets to get things up and running, and to work with bridges and exchanges and wallets and all the other things needed to get an ecosystem for an EVM up and running. We learned this over the last year with Horizen Eon. There's a whole bunch of other protocols. Those cost money. The money's not there for it. So if we're going to have this be the all Zen, all thing, then where do we get the money from? Well, the only option if we keep everything Zen would be to change the tokenomics, a higher cap, and provide the DAO treasury Zen to be able to use for the tokenomics of success. Okay, so advantages, Zen had a fair launch. The DAO is set up in a fair way. And the DAO would already exist for this entire system. It's a fast way to get up and running. All we would be limited by is the technical type of thing. Zen is already listed on a bunch of exchanges. So this is a great way to do it from a technical standpoint. From a political standpoint, not so much, because the issue of the tokenomics of the Zen being needed, the Horizen community said very strongly, and you can go see on the discourse, no tokenomics change for Zen at all. Okay, understood. So we don't want to do tokenomics changes. That's not the way people do things with their projects these days. So hear that loud and clear. So let's talk about the second option. Again, this is not an option that I'm recommending. It is an option that we discussed. If you look at the token over here, you'll see that the zero knowledge proof verification chain and the EVM have the same token. I'm just going to call it the ZKPV token. Anyway, so this would be everything ZK PV, no Zen. So again, this is an option, and it's not one that I'm recommending. But this has the same token on both chains, just like in the previous example, so technically it's very good. From a ecosystem development standpoint, it can be fairly rapidly done as well, keeping in compliance with US security laws. Basically, the way that this type of system is generated is there's a lot of rapid technological development, then there's a new ecosystem created, a foundation, a DAO, the technology is turned over to the DAO, which has a governance token and a blockchain. So this is like an immaculate conception of a new ecosystem, which is done in compliance with US security regulations. At this point, the token could be listed, the main chain could go live, and everything is off and running. So what's another advantage of this? So this would allow a tokenomics organization as part of this ecosystem development to create tokenomics that are effective for this type of system. Tokenomics includes a whole bunch of different things. How many tokens there's going to start with, how many there's going to finish with, if there's going to be a continuous emission for proof of stake, lockup times on tokens, recommended things for incentivized test nets. There's a whole bunch of things that go into tokenomics. There's organizations that make it their entire business to do tokenomics consulting because they have the experience to help the tokenomics of a new project be successful. So this would be a clean slate with excellent tokenomics for growth and success. And some of those things that you would use it for is development, paying for development, marketing, incentives, excitements. Who doesn't like a new token as part of a new ecosystem? That'd be cool. And then as part of this, some of the tokenomics could be to recommend distributing a decent portion of this new token to Zen holders. That'd be neat. As a Zen holder, I like that. But again, this is not what I'm recommending. Now, the disadvantage of this system, well, you can see there's no Zen here anymore. Zen wouldn't have utility anymore. Zen would kind of just go away. Well, now, Zen's a pretty cool ticker, so maybe in this type of situation, Zen could exist as a token riding on top of this EVM and be a community token. All the people that have gone along the path from 2016 when Z Classic started, which turned into Zen, could all get together and share their experiences and do meetups and do all sorts of other things. There's other community tokens out there that have DAOs that turn into quite substantial type things. So that is a possibility, but it's still a disadvantage. There's no actual utility for Zen in this situation. And so the issue is many holders want Zen to continue to have utility. It's a cool ticker, there's a lot of history, and Zen has a very well established history of a fair distribution, of working to enhance communication and payments around the world, and there's a legacy of working with different zero-knowledge proof systems for verifiable computation. It'd be sad to just throw this whole legacy of Zen away, which might happen if this option were the one that was chosen. Now, the interesting thing is there's no Horizen DAO involvement in this path. Any organization in the world can just go do this right now. In fact, they could do it without even distributing money to Zen holders. So somebody might be out there doing this now. I doubt it, because this is kind of the idea that generated out of our community and what we're doing and that kind of stuff, but it's still a possibility. So again, this is not something I'm recommending. So as you can see, we're getting close to option 3. So let me tell you about option 3. Well, now, let's talk about option 3. This is the one I actually am recommending. Hopefully, with my recommendation, people in the community will propose a Zen IP, we'll have a discussion, there'll be a vote. That's the way DAOs work. Now, as you can see on my diagram over here, this third option involves zero-knowledge proof verification ecosystem, on the proof verification chain, and Zen on the EVM. Now the cool thing is, we already have an EVM, the Horizen Eon, and it already uses Zen on it. So this could be Eon 2.0. And there's a way to transition over. But all Zen would live on this chain. So all 14 million Zen would live there. Now this is the first whiteboard of, I think, 2 to talk about this option, because it is a little bit more complicated. So the ZK proof verification chain with a new ecosystem, like we talked about in option 2. The EVM using Zen for gas and governance. Set up on substrate with a relay chain, cross-chain transfer protocol, and a parachain. Just like in the previous option, we get a new zero-knowledge proof verification ecosystem. The ecosystem being a foundation, DAO, token, chain, immaculately conceived, up and running, getting listening on exchanges, all that good stuff. We would have utility for Zen. Zen would have a purpose. Zen would carry on its history of being a leader in zero-knowledge proofs. This chain would be super optimized for zero-knowledge proofs because it would be tightly coupled for proof verification. You're running an application that needs zero-knowledge proofs and a verification done, bam, right there, quickly through the rapid communication mechanism. So the EVM would have Zen's legacy of many years of zero-knowledge proofs. The ZKPV DAO would be incentivized for Zen holders to own this token. We want to have happy political relationships between these organizations. So for the Zen DAO to own ZKPV token, that would be probably part of the tokenomics, is to make sure Zen holders have these ZKPV tokens. Now there are some disadvantages. It's complicated. It's complicated technically, and it's complicated politically. Has that ever held back Horizen? No, it hasn't. Probably not much Zen staking. Okay, so this is a parachain. The security is provided by the main chain. There are collators that are going to be on here. That probably is a form of staking, and we can see that. There might be Zen payments made to ZK prover nodes. ZK prover nodes is kind of just an idea that I came up with, but if we're going to have proof verification here, maybe people run nodes that'll generate proofs for people. So we could see about that. That's just an idea. This will take a little bit longer because it's more complex. I would see that the relay chain would be stood up first, and then a little bit later on, in a nice controlled way, the Ethereum virtual machine would be turned up. Now, let's talk about what we would do with the Zen that exists and is going to continue to exist in this type of situation. Second slide. Now, how could we make this happen if this is what the community wants? This isn't my decision. This is something the community needs to decide. And when I say community, I actually mean communities. Because if we want to have the ZKPV on this chain and Zen on this chain, then the Horizen DAO has to vote to support this type of system. The ZKPV DAO, which doesn't exist yet, but it could, would have to vote to support it. There'd have to be an agreement between the two DAOs to work together. And then we all would have to figure out a safe and a reliable way to move Zen from the existing 2-blockchain system all onto this new blockchain here. Totally ways to do that. Not sure of the best way to do it yet. I'm sure that technical people could figure it out, and even though it's not easy, it can be done in a straightforward and safe and effective manner. Now, we would have options on the Zen tokenomics. You might assume, well, let's just keep the tokenomics the same. Well, you can't, because the tokenomics are going to have to change, because the existing tokenomics are 60% going to miners. Well, that's not going to happen. 10% going to supernodes. Well, we don't have supernodes anymore in this new setup. 10% to forgers. We do have collators, which are kind of like forgers, but it's not really the same thing. And 20% to the treasury. And the treasury goes directly to the DAO, and the DAO can do grants and incentives and do other things to make this change successful. So if we know that we want to keep a 21 million cap, we still have options on what to do with the Zen and the new chain. So we can keep the same emission schedule that we've got on now, which is kind of like the same thing as the Bitcoin emission schedule, but we got to figure out where it goes to. So maybe somewhere between 20 and 50% would go to the collators that people stake to. That's a possibility. Maybe somewhere between 50 and 80% go to the DAO treasury. And that DAO treasury would pay out developers and marketers, incentives, grants for a grants program. We could do a different emission schedule. We could get 4 million Zen and immediately put them into the DAO, which would give the DAO a war chest, not a big one, but a war chest to go out and do incentives and other things to make the chain successful. And then take the other 3 million, I'm using round numbers here, for the same thing as here, collators and treasury. So there's a lot of decisions that need to be made. And there's going to be a mix between, hey, let's move fast and get this thing done, or let's pick a reliable set of implementation partners, tell them to do it, and let them get it done. So again, this is the option I recommend. Hopefully in explaining all these different options, it's helpful to you. I'll write up a summary slide of the 3 different types of options and then say what has to be done in each case for them to take effect. That was a lot to go through, wasn't it? Yeah. Here's the 3 different options that we discussed. The first one, all Zen, both chains. Now, this requires a Zen tokenomics change in order for it to be successful and to pay for it. This would require a Zen tokenomics change vote for the Horizen DAO. That's still a possibility. From the sentiment in the discourse, I think it's a very small possibility, but that is a possibility. Option 2, this would be all ZKPV, or Zero Knowledge Proof Verification ecosystem, no Zen. It requires a new Zero Knowledge Proof Verification ecosystem. That would be the token on both the chains. The problem with this is that Zen would no longer have any utility, although it could still be a token in the system and be a community coin. There's no votes required for this to happen. Any private organization could make this happen. What I would like to see is for us to have the best of both worlds, is for the Zero Knowledge Proof Verification ecosystem to have the proof verification chain and token up and running, and the Zen ecosystem to operate on the Ethereum virtual machine. This would keep Zen as a useful token. It would have the tokenomics of the proof verification chain to be successful, and it would allow full interoperability and for the legacy of Horizen as a ZK leader to carry forward as the purpose of the EVM chain. Now, what does this require? Well, this requires a vote for all Zen to be moved to the new EVM. So hopefully somebody's going to propose a Zen IP that would do what I'm recommending that the community and DAO do. Thanks for going through this with me. Appreciate it.